That is the level of professionalism that you're working with here. You have to turn the mics on.
I was thinking, why is it a flat line? The show's not dead, is it?
Well, we've had our moments.
Well, helps if you turn the mics on. All right, let's take two.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
And welcome to The Wilder Ride, Getting Wilder by the Minute, a podcast where we are breaking down and celebrating the films of Gene Wilder 1 minute at a time. Our inaugural season, we are looking at the film Young Frankenstein. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Alan Sanders.
And I'm Walt Murray, your co-host.
And joining us again, a pair of dicks, we've got Matt Gray and Ben Peacock.
Man, the whole thing was butchered. A pair of dicks? Really?
Private dicks.
Well, that makes it better, I guess.
Well, we're looking at an older movie. It's in black and white, and isn't that the colloquial way of saying that?
Yes.
So I don't have to bleep that because that's used correctly.
That is a correct usage.
Otherwise,
yes.
I'd have to say Schwanstuka, and that's different. When
Private
I mean the other
Schwanstukas.
So, but anyways, yeah, a couple of guys that spend their time finding out what the bad guys are doing, or people that are not, or maybe trying to find the people that don't want to be found. In this case, perfect timing to have two detectives on this case. We're trying to figure out where has this music been coming from in the castle of Frankenstein. And we start off this minute with Igor making a comment. I don't know, some flowers, a fresh pillow, might spruce up the place. And we end this minute right with this explains the music. So let's start off right at the very beginning, the first moments with Igor's comment. Well, it's Marty Feldman being Marty Feldman. It's perfect in this moment, having this nice little, I don't know, little flower. It was like, he goes, I don't know, a little paint, a few flowers.
Yeah, throw a pillow. Yeah, I love this line, and this is such a great Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder kind of line. Perfectly placed, absolutely awesome, totally opposite of the tone of the scene. And Igor, again, kind of sticking it to the doctor.
What I love is when he gets looked at sternly, he almost does like a kitty cat thing here. He's like, I just rub my face against your shoulder. And then instantly goes back to, okay, wait, we got to go find who's making the music. And he goes instantly stern again.
Well, and I love that he's in that black robe, so it's almost like a disembodied head that's floating right there next to Dr. Frankenstein.
His facial mannerisms are perfect in the whole movie, but here, to me, it's probably the best because it's such a large range in like 2 seconds. He goes from, like you said, the kitty cat thing to now I've got to be stern.
I often will find myself, especially going minute by minute, ignoring everything except watching Marty Feldman stay so focused. Even when he knows the camera's not on him, it's not his line, he's not being highlighted. He's in this movie nonstop. He's not drifting away. He is in character the whole time.
Well, I've actually gone back several times and I've caught myself just watching him walk. And he's very intentional in the way he does things. Even here, he's so hunched over. He's almost kind of puppy doggish as he's, walking along beside
That's how I was going to describe him. As I see him as a dog almost. And not only because of the way he follows him around all the time, but the scene we're watching right now, kind of jumping ahead just a little bit, when they notice the violin on the desk, his head sort of pokes forward and looks at it almost like a drug dog in the DEA that found like a kilo of cocaine. He finds it.
Wait, how do you know exactly?
I've seen shows and
Matt's
you
been
don't know what
I
I do, my alternate life. But he does remind me of almost like a dog. He sees it and he sort of points forward towards it.
That may be, rather than using the cat analogy earlier, maybe that is. I mean, dogs will do that. They'll kind of brush up against you and then all of a sudden stare at something that catches their attention. So maybe he's supposed to be man's best friend. I don't know if he's the doctor's best friend, but in this case, he certainly telegraphs a lot of like how a dog would. His head will snap back and forth at what he's looking at. He'll preen forward or pull back depending on what again, where his attention is.
And we'll have a scene later on where he's even more dog-like.
Well, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're onto something, Matt. You are a detective. Look at that detecting.
I don't want to toot my own horn.
Finally pulled one out.
I had no idea. I didn't remember that scene at all. That was pure luck.
Sheer luck.
Way to go,
From a
Matt.
different movie.
Way to go.
I'll take the compliment.
What's interesting is, according to the script, and then they deviated a little bit in this scene, right after Igor's, I don't know, a little pain, a few flowers, Freddy, Dr. Frankenstein, is supposed to say, "Did you see anyone down here?" And then Igor responds, "No, but when I first came in, there was a light coming from behind that door." They rewrote it on the set and gave that line of, "Look, there's a light coming from behind the door," to Frankenstein.
That's interesting. I wonder... I mean, obviously...
for more mystery in a way, you know? Even though it's... To us, this minute seems like it's drawn out. It's several minutes. But it's similar to Jaws in a way in that these little bites of time are so long, it adds a dramatic effect.
Yeah, very true.
Well, I think I have an idea why they may have changed it when they started getting on set and realized this room, it looks like no one's been in for a long time. And they had to come from the above balcony, down the stairs, and sweep across. It doesn't make any sense for Igor to say, well, when I first came through, when he said he didn't come through here, and he didn't know anything about being back here in this room. So it almost, once you're on set, even though you wrote it in a certain way, maybe Mel Brooks and Gene are like, it doesn't make as much sense right now.
Yeah, they kind of fixed it. And in a way, you know, the way this is shot and the way that we're running this, it's like we're discovering right along with the three of them. So it would have been really awkward and weird to have him coming back and having already been in the room. So I'm glad they fixed that.
And not only that, but they also added, you know, they had the opportunity to add a little joke in there because he says, what does he say? How does he start the line? He says like, "Oh, it looks like whoever was here must have and he notices the light under the door, and then the girl looks over and says, "Dissa what?" And then Igor leans over and says, "Beard." So they took the opportunity to squeeze another joke.
And I do find if they had left it as was in the script, I know, Walt, you said, I wonder last minute if maybe Igor is sort of working with Frau Blucher. And again, we're kind of giving something away. We don't know who's left besides our discovery of the candelabra last minute. But I like not necessarily pairing Igor and Frau Blucher. And I think had he had come through here, if he had seen the light, then you would ask the question, well, how did you not see the person? How did you not open the door yourself? Why would you have left this room to go run all the way up and meet the doctor halfway and then bring him all the way back down and act like you don't know where anything is? It could have been an act, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I really actually like the idea of him not working with her and all three of them coming to this discovery together.
Now, when they rush down the stairs, they obviously, Freddy sees the light, and they all start to rush down the stairs. Here's another element from the script that was left out. As they approach the huge door, in this case, it's not necessarily a huge door, but the door that had the light coming from behind it, the original script said, as they tiptoe to the door, a shadow can be seen disappearing quickly, and we hear footsteps running away. They all look at each other. Freddy grabs the door, pulls it open. Bats come flying out a la Scooby-Doo. They didn't say that, I added that. Terrifying Inga, and then they slowly walk in. By the light of Freddy's candle, they can see a small, creepy room filled with musty books. There is a table in the center of the stone floor, and on the table there is a large book, an ashtray, a cigar, and a violin. So all that last bit gets left in the movie, but everything about the bats, the shadow, that all gets left completely out.
That's interesting. So they took out a jump scare, but I think it would have been... I don't think we lost anything by losing...
No, we already had a creature jump scare or an animal with the mouse or the rat on the stairs. I think to do the bat thing, and again, I mean, Scooby-Doo was a cartoon, and it was a very Scooby-Doo-ish moment. Open the door and bats, you know. So I think it would have ruined what they've done again, going back and forth between comedy and horror, comedy and or a scare picture. We've got tension of them approaching this door. We don't want to keep diverting from the main story. Who's playing the violin?
Right, and I think it also would have diverted a little bit from what we're really doing here.
I think I just said that.
We're headed to his library. Well, I wasn't paying attention. So, but it would have been you're right. It would have been a distraction, and it would have given a very different feel, I think, to the whole scene. So I'm glad they took it out.
Well, it would have taken away how Wilder jumps in, looking for someone. You would have lost all of that. Because, the door would have been open, they would have been startled. He kind of jumps in I'm going to catch somebody. Where are they at? And then, so you'd have lost that whole scene.
Kind of like when we're at the office and you jump into my office to try to catch me looking at something.
And
most of the time you do
up.
catch me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
Most
so
of the time I try to catch you to see if you're actually working.
Yeah, but I'm not, like, ever.
and you may want to start deleting your history before you leave.
I gotta figure out how to do that.
Go into, what's it called? You got to go into incognito mode.
No, that's not a thing. I want everyone to know what I'm into. The government already does. Why not you? Huh?
Let me ask our private detectives this question. They enter this room, and the very first thing is that we see what appears to be the only way out of this room is some kind of barred door. And it's obvious that the door's locked or they can't get out that way. So the question I have for you, Walt, is there another way out, or did the person that was just in this room, are they hiding somewhere?
I'm guessing either that they have the key to that door or that there's another way out. But with the person who I'm assuming it's going to be, there's no telling. She's a crafty one.
Matt, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I assumed that, maybe they had a key to the door and they just locked it behind them and then... But yeah, who knows? I mean, she seems like a skeeving little pervert. She could be hiding anywhere in that room.
I think back to the bookcase, and there's probably another way in and out of there. And she probably
Very
took
true.
that and took off and
Very good
probably
point.
heard them turn the lights on, earlier in that other minute.
I'm wondering because, as we discovered in the previous minute, the candelabra that we saw her use earlier to escort them from the Great Hall up to their rooms is on that table, almost as if she was leaving and had to drop it quickly. Was she hiding under the table? Did she hide under some sheets? We don't know, but I almost wonder if she was hightailing it back through that room and was hoping they'd go past her so she could escape now while they're in this room.
Because I think the original Frankenstein table is seen there. It's covered in the previous minute.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, maybe in this minute too, when they're coming down the stairs with, like you said, the sheets on it. So yeah, that's an interesting thought there too.
Well, I'd say for the Frau, there are no secrets in that castle. She knows every square inch. She knows everything there is to know about that building. So she definitely could have...
Of course, we're making an assumption here based on the candelabra. We still don't know for a fact who is down here. Not if we're watching this movie 1 minute at a time for the first time ever.
Right. No, we're clueless.
Well, I mean, that goes...
In general,
in
yes.
so many ways.
So we see you've got this sheet cover, and Ben, you're right. It does pass right past where the body or whoever would have lied on some table. There's a sheet over it. We see bands that would probably have held Frankenstein's monster back when his grandfather was doing his dastardly work. But who knows? I mean, if somebody was small enough, they could have maybe disguised themselves hiding underneath the sheets for a period of time to let these other characters go right by him and allowing for an escape.
I know a lot about hiding underneath the sheets, and I can tell you that you have to be very, very still.
Yeah.
I've had some surprises coming home to my house, yeah.
Well, a couple of things here as we are into the room. We make our way all the way down, and they do notice a table. The camera pulls back, and a couple of interesting things here. There's the bookshelf we notice behind Dr. Frankenstein. Now, we won't necessarily look, he won't necessarily look at it just yet, but we also see that there's a lit candle and a violin sitting on the desk with a torch lit in the background. So this room, if it had been an unused room for a period of time, the torch certainly would not be lit on the wall, and the candle would not be lit.
Yeah, the candle would have burned out. So, and in the next minute, we're going to get some more information about who the person was in that room. But I think that I've always just assumed that whoever it was knew the castle and bugged out through one of the alternative ways out of that room.
Well, this gives us a chance to pick the minds of our guests, private detectives, being that you are. Let me ask you, Ben, I'll start with you. Have you ever had a case where you had to either tail somebody or kind of keep an eye on somebody, follow them to where they might be going, and try to make sure that they didn't double back on you?
Yeah, we have to do that kind of stuff a lot for domestics. Those kind of cases where, my wife or husband's cheating, and you want to follow them to... They think they're going to the gym, but they're actually to go get the gym kind of thing. So you have to be careful. Honestly, the main thing is to be normal, just to drive normally, don't get too close, not to make yourself obvious that you're following someone. what we have found a lot of times is people are just stupid, right? And so if
Yes, they are.
It is true.
if a guy is cheating on his wife, he thinks that he's not going to get caught. You know, they're blatant sometimes in what they're doing, and so you just kind of got to let people be themselves and do their own thing. And a lot of times you'll find them, you know, sticking their foot in it, or maybe that's not the best choice of words, but
He's into some weird stuff.
Whatever it is that they're doing.
but yeah, a lot of times people will just, again, they're oblivious to what's going on around them. So as long as you make good decisions and act normally, it's pretty easy to.
Well,
I've got to
Matt has-
imagine. Oh, good.
Oh, Matt has had a lifetime of experience with this.
Oh, yeah.
Because every amusement park that they went to as a kid, his parents were always trying to ditch him, doubling back.
Well,
trying
here's
to
the thing.
sneak out.
I follow people, but not for my job. It's more of a pet project. So, you know, my experience with I'm a professional stalker, you see. So I have a little different skill set than Ben here. It's more, you know, zip ties, that kind of a thing. But yeah, when someone's trying to lose you, it can be difficult. They can get pretty scrappy.
Zip ties in a panic room.
Ski mask makes it a lot easier too.
Wow. Well, Ben, what about you? Say you've done this as far as tailing, and I think just a comment. Obviously, if somebody's already gotten away with something a couple of times, they get complacent. They feel like, well, yeah, nobody's on to me. Yeah. But on the flip side, has anybody ever lost you? Or do you remember a time where somebody did something, or maybe just traffic light, bad timing?
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I can think of one time when we were following a guy and he pulled into a gas station quickly. Well, if you do that right behind him, it's kind of obvious, you know, that you're tailing him. But we have done that, and then you kind of sit at the pump pretending you're pumping gas, you know, to be somebody. But yeah, a lot of times, like I said, if you're obvious that you're following them, you're following too closely, and a red light goes to yellow and they run through that yellow, you gotta let them go. And that's the best thing to do, is to let them go ahead and go, because you don't want to get burned, and then you just pick them up another day.
Do you often work in tandem sometimes, where that way one person can peel off and the other person can kind of take over? So
yeah,
that
it
way
depends on the job. Yeah, but obviously there's a lot of benefit to two people, not sometimes two people in the same car, just because you can help each other stay back, or somebody's looking at maps, say, okay, he says he's going to this place. If he's gone on, we can maybe go around this way and catch back up to him, but also sometimes two vehicles as well.
Matt, what about you? Got any experience in that, tailing anybody in your area? I know
Like
you
I
do more
said-
of the background investigation.
Yeah, I'm more of the background investigation. So yeah, not professionally, but just for fun. You know how it goes. So
Many a former girlfriend.
yeah. Well, see, girlfriend usually requires them to know that they're in a relationship. You see. I like to use the word muse. My muse. Yeah.
Your muse?
Well,
That
yeah,
which
'cause-
inspires me.
Exactly.
How did you get that nickname, Meat Gun, by the way?
From a Rammstein song.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. It's not a medical condition. So you can make up your own mind as to how I got that nickname.
You guys must have lots of free time or downtime when you're tailing somebody.
Oh, it can be mind-numbing.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially if you're working like an insurance case and you're waiting for somebody to come out and take out the trash or mow the lawn.
And this be one of those cases where they've told the insurance company they're incapable of
That's right,
work or
can't work
labor.
and I'm hurt.
Yeah.
So a lot of sitting and watching and waiting. So yeah, that's can definitely be boring. But at the same time, you've got to be paying attention because you don't want to miss that. Sometimes you get one shot, so you definitely have to pay attention. But it can be pretty boring.
Awesome. I love the field of detective because I think it's one of those jobs that's probably 80% boring, but the 20% that's exciting is fun to talk about.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
it's worth it.
There's very few things that are more just a joy sitting down when somebody's trying to screw somebody over and you throw that file over or that video or those pictures and the look on their face of how did they catch me? Yeah, that's pretty gratifying.
I gotta imagine, yeah. Especially with it's one thing cheating spouses. We live in a state where the court system. I was told by many lawyers and judges that said, "You want to argue this at $500 or $400 an hour, go for it." But it's a no-fault divorce state. Nobody cares who did what. You want a divorce, go get it. But I know there's some people they want the goods. They want those goods. But I like the cases that you're talking about where they're defrauding an insurance company or maybe defrauding the government, Social Security, disability. I want to see those people caught because they're abusing what's there for people who are legitimately injured.
Yeah, and not only that, it also affects everyone else who's paying premiums. You know, that's where those premiums go high and those kind of things. But yeah, it's definitely, like I said, gratifying to snag some of those guys.
All right, so in the room as we wrap this up, we've got the violin that's on the table. Obviously, it doesn't take a detective, Walt, to figure out, well, we were listening to violin music. The violin music came to a stop as they came into this room. If you notice, it all stopped as they were flicking the switches, so there was no music at all. And we have a violin on the table. We can only presume this is the particular instrument making the noise that woke him up from his nightmare.
Yeah, and Inga is actually the one who realizes it and points it out. And she's kind of been painted as not the smartest person in the room most of the time. So
I think that's a disservice to her. I think she's just more naive. I don't think she's dumb. Do you?
It's hard to tell at this point in the movie. I think we get more insight into her as we go, but I think we still don't really know exactly who she is.
What do you think, Matt? From this point, if you look at when we've met Inga, roll in the hay all the way now to here.
What do I think about
her intelligence?
Yeah, what do I think about this beautiful blonde woman whose voice and accent could melt butter by talking to it? I don't think I have much of an opinion ever.
You haven't thought much beyond that.
No, not really.
Not much.
Well, but it's like you said. I don't think it's that she's dumb. I think it's she's naive because she clearly proves later on in the movie that I'm sure that we'll get to eventually that she's not stupid. She has her uses, especially even as an assistant, she's just naive, not stupid.
Ben?
Yeah, I would probably err on the side of her being naive. I do love her character, though, just how she's kind of in the background of all these scenes, and this speaks to Terry Garr, yet she can be easily a focal point just by, look at the color contrasts. Mm-hmm. She's always wearing the light colors. Her hair is a light color. And with that black and white filming, you're kind of drawn to her. Maybe there's other things that draw you to her.
Yeah, that's why I'm drawn to her too, is the colors. Yeah. That's what I noticed as well about her.
Well, I do think there's a reason they put her in the lighter colors, and that is, of course, just conveys a sense of innocence or a sense of youthfulness or playfulness. It's not an ominous, dark character.
You mentioned earlier about how at this point we don't know who is playing the violin. Whoever it was may have gotten out quickly. That's probably why the violin is still sitting there, while what we see in the next scene is still there. All these things because it was a quick escape.
So there's some way out of here, whether they lock the door, as we already talked about, behind that stockade-looking structure behind them, whether it's another secret passage out of this room, or whether she managed to double back and nobody caught that she was actually hiding in the lab, and while they're in here trying to figure things out, she hightails it out the staircase. Either way, someone left in a hurry. The candle's lit, the violin is left behind as evidence. We'll have to decide, was this an accident or was it on purpose?
Oh, I don't think it was an accident. I think that I think that whoever this is, leaving these clues is leading them right along where they want them to be.
It has turned into a bit of a Hardy Boys / Scooby-Doo episode all of a sudden. It
has.
Trying to put the clues together.
Yes, it has.
What about when it comes to clues in general for our private eyes? We hear that phrase and think of, almost like that's a silly phrase. Let's search for clues. But that's a legit thing for private detectives.
Oh yeah, we were talking earlier about both domestics and insurance cases. Facebook, Instagram. It's amazing how people put their lives out there for everyone to see. And sometimes you just got to do a little bit of digging.
And by the way, we highly encourage you to put those things out there. Post away, people. Post away.
Well, again, people are generally stupid and they don't think things through. And yeah, I'm on disability for hurting my back, but I'm going to show this video because I almost nailed that triple flip off my diving board and they want people to see it. And so there are definitely clues out there. Sometimes you just have to know where to look.
Without giving anything away, what would be the most blatant example in your career so far of somebody who, how could you glaringly put something like that out there or get caught doing that?
Well, sometimes it's not that person. So we had a case where it was a domestic situation. There was an affair going on. It was going to be a big financial decision if the divorce was there. And the girlfriend, the suspected girlfriend, posted stuff on her Facebook about going out of town. And the husband was also going out of town at the same time. It's easy to put two and two together.
Had such a wonderful time in Cancun with Jerry. He is such a great guy. I can't wait till he dumps that. she's with.
That's about accurate.
Did
you read the file?
No, but I've seen this story play out multiple times. So,
Well,
all right.
one of my favorites still is the cheerleader for an SEC basketball team who was claiming she was completely hurt, and we got video at the game of her. Well, I won't say which school it was, but cheering, go team.
Ooh, that was close.
Good way to catch yourself there.
Yeah, thanks.
I had no idea what SEC school starts with go gay.
Yeah,
Actually, that'll be a lot of the SEC schools, right? Go gay.
Go gay. Wow. Hey, I'm a Bulldog fan.
Ben's leaving.
Wow.
Get out.
As we wrap this minute up, Walt, anything that we forgot on your notes for this part of our Scooby-Doo tale?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Matt?
No, yeah, actually, I don't think we've left anything out. I think we did a pretty good
Did
job.
we wake you, Princess?
No, I
You went
was
over there
actually.
with
I
Johnny?
usually like to breathe or yawn away from the mics because
That's good.
you know how boring
You're
this stuff
you're
can be.
yawning. Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I feel
I'm
bad
glad
for
we
the
have your full
listeners.
attention.
Oh, while Matt was jabbering over there, I did remember one thing that I wanted to mention. The music in this scene is really excellent because it has kind of that plucky, kind of high-tempo music that goes along with it. So it does even more have that Scooby-Doo kind of feel to it, where they're walking through the room, and it changes from that ominous sound to more of a sleuthy, fun kind of music, and then it changes right at the end as they find the violin.
Which could be another reason why they changed the way the scene played out from the original writing.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, great point. Ben, anything else for you?
No, it's another great minute. I've never watched a movie this way before, and it's amazing all the little things you pick up. So it's a great minute.
Awesome. Well, before we talk about how people can find us, Walt, Ben, Matt, you guys tailing anybody tomorrow? Or can we get you to come in here?
Well,
and...
like I said, not on the clock, but yeah, I'm tailing someone.
No- Yeah, I may be firing Matt, so I may have some interviews tomorrow, but I'll try and make it back.
Get back over here. Well, because I want to find out more. We're knee deep in the investigation, and we need the due diligence of duly appointed private eyes. Walt, somebody who wants to come back and pay attention to what's happening in this scene or any other scenes of Young Frankenstein, where can they go?
You can go just about anywhere on the internet where you can find people like us. But we encourage you,
The dark web.
the dark web, yes, load that Tor browser and head on head on over to facebook.com/thewilderride. Get involved either in our general open Facebook profile or in the listeners room. And there's a lot of good comments and posts and people posting things that we never knew about Gene Wilder and pictures that they've had and things like that. So really appreciate everybody joining in and spending some time with us.
And don't forget, you can find our podcast anywhere you can find most of your podcast feeds, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. And if you get a chance, leave us a review. We kind of want to hear that. It also helps with the metrics of getting the podcast more recognized. And give us a rating. We, of course, don't mind the max, but whatever you feel is appropriate for this level of work, we appreciate you taking time to listen.
Yeah, and if you do decide to give us 5 stars, please also make a comment so that that vote gets counted.
All right, until tomorrow, where we will find out a little bit more about what's going on in this room, from a line about the warmth of the violin straight through to Dr. Frankenstein reading some notes left in this stash of books and papers that we see in the background. Until then, Walt, this is the laboratory of Dr. Frankenstein.
The laboratory of Dr. Frankenstein.
Laboratory.
Frankenstein.